frustration way back in the day. Okay, it's a bit windy in this area, let's get out of this. In my early days as a young kid starting school, I learned very early on that certain achievements and doing well in certain areas won't be appreciated by everybody. Actually, a small minority will actually appreciate that kind of thing. I went through the very first early grades and learned that doing well in specific areas and coming home with those achievements and trying to get some form of recognition from them would essentially end up being shamed, made fun of, would be forced into comparison with someone else's achievements, downplayed, and not misinterpreted, just underappreciated essentially. So what I did as a response to this kind of thing was I pulled back. I stopped working so hard on those things. I saw it as something that would I'm speaking specifically about those subjects now, those early year subjects, those very important ones. I learned very early on not to bring it up, not to focus on it, not to give it any effort essentially. And as a result of that, I turned those 6-7 hours spent at that facility, that school, into something that was more of a not a mission, what's the word I'm looking for? More of a unwanted experience. I can't find the word I'm looking for right now. Never mind that. In learning that, I'm going somewhere with this, give me a chance. In learning that, I took that with me through my later years as well. And in starting high school, I carried the same, I'm using an exaggerated word now, the same trauma response. Sagittarium, it's gonna make me use these blunt, exaggerated words. The same response and carried it over into certain other subjects. Now think of it like it's point out math specifically. Doing well in math wasn't appreciated for me early on, and when I went to high school I started doing physics. Well, chose it myself actually, but never mind that. That also contained quite a bit of mathematics, and my nervous system went off again and said no, not this. Very regretful response, very reluctant. I managed to push through, fortunately, with quite a bit of willpower. All that willpower, and managed to, yeah, like I said, I pushed through. But there were other subjects that didn't contain those things that I managed to do fairly, not well, but okay in. Like biology and let's not go into too much detail. Anyway, let's focus on the math. And again, like I said, I'm going somewhere with this. The response to the math throughout school, throughout my formative years, math wasn't a big thing for me, so problem solving itself kind of fell a bit to the wayside. I wasn't too capable of something like critical thinking, like seeing when something was wrong, seeing when something was when I was repeating mistakes. Math doesn't essentially teach you that, but the after effect of is that you can't gosh, I'm trying so hard to find the words. You can't involve emotion into many of your decisions. You can't make a choice based off how you feel. You have to factor in logic in many different factors. So fast forward a few years, getting to the point now, I picked up this beautiful sport called chess, and the better I get at chess, not that I'm good at all, the better I get at it, the more I am able to think. I don't want to say one-dimensionally, that's the wrong word also. I'm able to think from a position that isn't tainted by the way I feel. This probably doesn't make sense. It's going to make sense eventually. The more I'm able to do such a thing, the more I can see where I'm repeating mistakes, the more I can see where flaws are in certain philosophies. I'm gonna point out one specifically, the 10,000 hour rule, the 10,000 rep rule, where you have to do certain, if you want to get good at something, you have to practice it over and over and over until you get to that point where you are. One of my sisters said it beautifully actually. Don't practice something until you get it right. Practice it until you can't get it wrong. So I've wanted to push very hard in my cricket, and I have hit balls for probably more balls than I'm pretty sure nobody has hit as many balls as I have. Bouncing it off the wall, tied up off a net, tied up off the ceiling, tied up off a roof, swinging balls, practice balls, just to get my reps in. I did the same with bowling as well, and thinking that if I do it enough I'll get better at it. I got pretty accurate, I'm not gonna lie. I'll try and show that eventually in another video once I do recover from this, but that's the point I'm getting to actually. It's the actual repetition en masse. The bowling for hours on end, it wasn't good for me. I didn't have the people around me that were telling me this could be dangerous, this could be overtraining, this could push you into unfortunate circumstances, issues with compound injuries, with tendinopathy, tendinitis, unfortunately I didn't break any bones, but these things, these injuries that I'm still carrying today, I can see why many men, many women as well, but mostly men, are walking around with, especially the older generations, are walking around with injuries and old injuries that are just niggles that are just there, that they've learned to live with. It's not a good look. It's not something I want for myself or anybody I value highly at all. It's thanks to the chess, thanks to the ability to now critically think, to see the area in my ways. I've now spotted the mistake that I've been repeating, the bowling for hours, and sure, it showed up eventually as acute injuries. Like one day I tried to throw a cricket ball as far as I could from one side screen to hopefully get past the pitch, which is about, how far is that? 80 meters at least. Didn't really warm up for that kind of thing. I heard something bad that one day, and after going to the physio, went to 2 actually, and I've been told that I have a rotator cuff issue. And I've been doing the reps, I've been doing I've worked on it so hard, got so strong at that, and all the external rotations, the internal rotations, added some isometrics as well, only to realize one day, this is so strong and I still can't throw. Something's again, only to realize that I've been misdiagnosed. I guess that's the system, eh? They can only continue if they recycle certain people. Also, if people keep coming back, if people are hurt, they can make money. People don't get better, they can still make more money. And that's so sad actually, to see that and to know that there are plenty men in generations before me in similar situations that have also been athletically gifted, that have been technically gifted, that have been so good at their sports, but have been misguided. Frustrating actually, very frustrating. Misguided and misdirected, pushed into lanes of things that they have seen on advice that they have heard from the Lord knows where, somewhere on TV, which is just made everything worse for everybody. Now we have a few generations of people with injuries and niggles that they have no idea what it is. They have no idea what's going on. They don't, no solution, no understanding, no diagnosis, no fathoming, no ability to see the, I guess that's the beauty of chess. It teaches you how to learn, how to, you don't get better at such a thing if you keep playing. You have to go back and look at your games. You have to see what you did wrong. Sometimes you can focus on what you did right, but if you see what you did wrong, you can remove that error and automatically your rating goes up. The point I'm getting at here is, how many of us have been in the same situation where we've been taught that repetition is the answer, repetition is the goal, is the key, it's the gate that allows us through to stardom, through to excellence, only to wake up one day with a few injuries that were not necessary at all, not part of the plan, not meant to be part of the process. So now I learnt in the error of my ways. I can see now where I've been wrong. It's been another place, but like I'll say it for another video. Specifically on this rotator cuff issue, I can see the warning signs, the red flags that told me that this is not an actual rotator cuff issue. This is something else. I can see where my struggles in training, my warning flags were pointing somewhere else. I could have done this pathology myself. I could have looked at what was wrong and see through a series of, I'm a bit lucky that I know a bit more on fitness than most people that haven't studied it, that I can see how it all ties in together, how it all now points to not a rotator cuff issue. Kind of good in the way, because that helped me set the foundation, that helped me really cement a quality of a rotator cuff, a strength and a quality in those tendons that is quite substantial. But it still left behind something. It still left me with this, what I now see to be biceps tendinopathy. Tendinopathy being, it's not like tendinitis. Tendinitis is it's like an acute injury in a way. Not acute, but in a way. Tendinopathy is over a longer period of time? I could be wrong on that. I'll correct that in editing of this video somewhere, but kind of sucked. But I guess that's where we are now. Now we know what the issue is. Now we're gonna fix it in hopefully not a long time from now. I'll be able to throw again. I'll be able to bowl again, and just got some sympathy for those guys, man. Everybody that's got this kind of thing that hasn't been guided, that hasn't been corrected. Unfortunately, not too many people cared, I guess. Anyway, we'll fix that now, right? We'll change it, we'll make things happen. Lucky as we are, now is the time after all. It is the 2025, adds up to 9, it is the year of endings. Year of the snake. I'm also a snake myself, but what a year. Next year everything starts a lot better. Guess I'm kind of glad in a way that everything stopped and now I get to reassess. To change. Blessings.